that stuff, and I would like manipulate sounds different. I would just do things that I don't think people would think to do, you know? So I'm gonna get into today actually. So I'll show you like really what's going on. So all these things are gross beat, and we'll get into all that too. But really in this session is like we have Omnisphere. So I don't remember what piano I used, to be honest. I didn't have this session up in a minute. So what did I use? Dreamtac piano. Oh shoot, that's crazy. What's on this? Oh. First of all, let me see what I put on this. Let's see what I was doing at the time. So I have Guitar Rig 5. I EQ'd. I have a multi-band stock thing from compressor from FL, and I have gross beat. So let me see if I could find a piece of it. That's cool. That's cool. That's wild. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. Watch this. It's literally on everything. So that's actually a piano. That sound. So let me take off. This is what it is right here. So I played out all this stuff here. If I really get into it, I'm pretty sure I changed the key. So really, this is what it's done. Like. So this is how it started out, the whole beat. So now I should do, okay, go boom. Hold on. Change all this stuff back. Give me a second. Wow, Nexus. So that's basically what it started from, right? So after that, the next sound I had in here was another Omnisphere sound. I don't even know what this is, to be honest, I don't remember. Oh, you know what this is? It's probably like, so I added this in. So I have to go to this sound now, same thing. So that was like, basically, I think it's like a pad or something. Some gothic tone, like, it's called Gentle Gothics from Omnisphere. So actually, let me go to this section. So drag that. Great. There's a lot of gross beat going on. So boom, we had that. So I had these two going together. Holy, it sounds so different. And mind you, at the time, I'm doing this all on internal sound card. I did not have an interface for any beat I placed ever. I just, during the pandemic last March, got like my first interface, you know? So it's definitely a crazy journey. So that, and then what I have after that? So I Omnisphere again. And this is all before I changed the key of the, so what the hell is this? Oh, so I'll get to that last, probably. That's a sound near the end, I think. So what else? Silent, no. Nexus, let's go to Nexus. So Nexus is, see, back then I didn't even, like, I wasn't labeling my beats with like intro, verse one, hook, all that stuff. I just, and I'm pretty sure it was all block in FL, I used FL Studio. So now I'm on like FL 20. So they only use like the grid now, but before they used to have pattern blocks in song mode that you could structure it out, but now it's like all different. It's like, wow. Deadness. Oh, here we go. That's crazy. So this sound right here is actually a violin. So like when I was going for the bass sound, I was like, yo, I need to like do something different. Like obviously I could have used a sound, but I just found this sound in Nexus at the time. Right now it's Nexus 3, and I use a super like lower octave violin, and then I think what I do, I put a slide on it. That's why it has that sound like it's dipping, like and all that stuff. So that was my process. I just wanted to give it a different low end feel, and it gave it that darkness too. So all that stuff is going to play together. Sessions crazy. That's crazy. To hear it now. And then I also ran that through Guitar Rig. I'm seeing I EQ'd it. What did I put on this? I put Strat or Telly, some craziness. I don't know. So that was that. Then let me just put this all back on for a second. Then everything else is pretty much drums. I just like I'm pretty sure at the time I'm using like some Boy Wonder kit. That stuff is knocking, obviously. So yeah, I have what I do. So that's all of it. Then I had a clap loop from Wonder's kit. That loop is, I think it's like actually the same as Up All Night. So it's crazy. It worked again. That's it. Stuff now. It's so crazy to see all this. It's like, what? You know what I mean? And then, I'm pretty sure you heard this thing before. That's wild to hear. So that was basically where it's at. And then before I had like today I would use like sound shifter from Waves or something. Back then I'll just go around with the key like in the piano roll and switch the key. So if I do that and switch all of it up to like key, that's how you got that sound there. Switch up the whole thing. is crazy to hear right now. That's crazy. So much section. So that sound is. So this part is near. So what is this? Omnisphere again. I don't even know the specifics now. It is called Jazz Stacks. That's crazy. So, and I had a silent bass in there too. I ran it through some guitar rig. So this beat was really like a lot of Omnisphere and a lot of guitar rig and a lot of girl speed. So if you listen to like Trophies at the end, like where it goes crazy and then like it is basically the outro, by the time it got to, you know, the OVO side with like 40 in them, he chopped what he wanted. So like what I was playing you became the hook, and then that had nothing to do with the other part, which actually had nothing to do. The whole beat had nothing to do with me. It was Hit Boy that went crazy on it, and I guess it just wasn't like where Drake wanted it at the time, as he explained years ago. And I guess it was just crunch time. Boom, they asked me, yo, send some beats in, and I just submitted beats and I resubmitted beats. And it's a good thing I listened to Boy Wonder also. You know what I mean? Like, real talks. And I was like, yo, sometimes you gotta resubmit. So I was like, all right, bet. Because sometimes you think it's like they're not messing with the beats, but in reality, they're not hearing the beat. You know what I mean? There's too much beats and they get caught up, right? So I actually listened and I resubmitted it. And then we're talking Blackberry Times or something, I believe. I got a message from 40 saying like, yo, trophies and it's done. We did it. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. And then, you know, that's why I swear to God, it went down like that. I swear. I just gave him a USB with beats on it. And I was like, what the hell? This is nuts. Because I actually got the privilege of hearing Trophies before I had anything to do with it. You know what I'm saying? Those times I already heard this thing. I was trying to get on other, like, you know what I mean? Like Pound Cake, all those other joints. I was trying to, you know, I was trying to get a Wayne joint. It was wild how it just came to fruition, to be honest, you know? But, yeah, like you just, by the time I got to 40, I had to do so much other stuff. Like, so I'm going to explain all the other stuff. I'm going to shut this session down and go to the actual session where, so right now it's 68, we had to slow it down. Like now we're going like, my part, like roast beat, I'm gonna break that down all in the next session. But like then like where 40 came in, you know what I'm saying? Holy, this looks like crazy now. Yo, I was like, I don't.
It's just it's a time machine.
Yo, I'm like, I would have never done that right now. I'm like, what was I doing? I'm bugging out. So now we're at 56. So because I guess mathematically we had to match, you know, certain things, because the sound kind of warped or whatever, like time stretching, all that stuff with the original beat with Trophies. I had to slow it down mathematically for it to sound right and get exported properly and all that stuff, right? So now in 56 BPM, this is where we're at. So this is how slow it was. So all I did was like, even with the piano, so I could, because the other one is faster. So I play the piano, and what would I would do is like I'd put guitar rig on, and I automated it so that it would basically come in and out. So it would be like, and then it will switch to the guitar effect on it that makes it sound like that. So I'll put it. Funky duck. I was out of control, man. I didn't even have a limiter on this. Now that I look at the mask, I'm like, what was I doing? This is nonsense. Like, this is nuts. I didn't even have a limiter going on. It's just raw, like we're going in. So
I feel like producers can relate where they're like they look at past sessions that they've done like even like like probably like a year ago and they're looking at it like what am I doing with this like what was I thinking.
yo, I don't know what I was on. I'm like, I didn't have a limiter. I didn't have nothing. I obviously, when I exported, I probably made sure it was at a good dB, so it's not like clipping and stuff. But like just watching the session is like, this is definitely hot. Like this doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? But so we did that, broke that down, and then so yeah, like this beat is pretty simple when you think about it, man. It's like it's not like simple at the same time because of like all the other stuff I'm adding to it, but like it's just piano. It's a pad or like something of that sort. It has like some vocal stabs here and there. It has bass. I don't think we ended up using the bass, to be honest. And then we had the bass was actually the violin, my bad. So that's what was used. So if you actually listen, um like I said, the hook became what you know it to be, and the ending, the outro is what you know also. And then there's these little parts here, like with the da da da. That was like just an outro part too. Where is it? Oh, it's right here, the break. So basically, the break became some of the outro too. But yeah, man, that's the beat. Look at all, like there's literally how much gross beats? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 gross beats going on. So there's a lot of automation going on. And I'm pretty sure with the machine I was using at the time, I was probably overdoing it. Probably couldn't handle the CPU, nothing. It was just, I was just going berserk, you know what I mean? But it worked out in the end. You know what I mean? That's like trophies from my part, everything else 40 took it to that other level. You heard it. He chopped it up. I watched the whole thing. After I did the whole gross beat thing, I think it took me like half an hour because I like in FL you couldn't like just put on the master and export, so you had to put on each channel. So I took like half an hour. I did that. He chopped it in Pro Tools, and he does what he does. He's 40, right? Filters, lo-fi's, all that, pitching up. He goes to a crazy place and trophies, voila. You know what I mean?
It's a sick track. It's a sick track.
Honestly, I'm just humbled,
Yeah, well, no, exactly, and you've obviously been able to, you've been able to do a lot of great things, and like have more songs with Drake, right? So it's
Yeah.
just, it's really dope to be able to see a song that's from, like 7 years ago, and like, it still hits super hard. Like, a lot of songs don't age well these days, especially in the age of like the microwave era of songs. You hear a song like a year later, you're like, but this song is like one of those ones that play forever. It's like it's one of those songs too that's just like you're gonna hear it on like movies forever. Like they're gonna use that, you know
Or
what I mean? Just like
sports
as
or
a
something. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, you hear that all the
Yeah.
time. Yeah, exactly.
It's a classic.
Um,
It's a classic.
Oh man, love. Honestly, I'm like it's so crazy to me, man, because even my come up, like I'm from Toronto, obviously, but like even if I get more specific, I'm like from Scarborough sides, I'm from Malvern, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? I'm from Enfernham, even to be more specific. So it's like all this is just madness to me because I've been through so much. So I was like, yo, like I put everything in all my beats. If you listen to it, I could be like, oh yeah, that time and period in life, I was like, that's how I felt. That's what I was going through. It just marks so much stuff, and I just channel it. I just, you know what I mean? It's just real crazy, man. To even look at the session right now is like mind blowing. It's like, I mean, look how much time did I spend on this? This just says 6 hours 49 minutes. Project was started 18/11/12. And this is probably like another version. That's wild.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
No, it was dope for you to be able to break that down for us, and I think like now more than anything, like a lot of the people inside of this group would just like have like some questions based off of like either the song or just some general questions that they might have for you. So it's
Mm-hmm.
the first one we have from Jay the Assassin is did you play the melody on the keyboard? Did you just use the piano to click on notes?
No, I played it. That's what I was saying. I was really pushing myself. I laugh about this all the time, bro. Like there was a time like I didn't even know how to use a sustain pedal. I couldn't use it for the life of me. I don't know what was going on. I literally just came from the hood to figure this out, like to the studio, and I'm like, I didn't go to school for none of this. Like it was just all, putting in hours and learning from others and trial and errors. And like back then we didn't even have tutorials where you can like learn how to use like a DOS station in like half an hour or an hour. It wasn't like that. You really had to like figure it out, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah, but I definitely didn't click none of that. That was like the first probably piece of like songwriting where I was like, okay, I'm getting somewhere with my playing now. Like, because before it was always the same kind of like you hold the same three notes. I'm pretty sure everyone does that when they start making beats or whatever, right? Or producing. So that was like my first real like, okay, I'm going in, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope.
Nice.
I guess another question is, do you know music theory? Like, do you know it like fully or a bit, or like how much of music
No,
theory do
it's nuts, bro. To be honest, I used to play flute in what was it like middle school, probably like grade 6, 7, 8 or something, maybe 5. I can't remember. I could play. I used to be able to read music, treble clef, bass clef, all that stuff. And you know what happened? High school happened. You know what happened? You get too cool. You get in the mix. You're like, forget all this other stuff. And that's one of my biggest regrets. But I'm getting back to a place where I'm like, yeah, I have to like. I understand it by ear, but like I won't say like I'm super tapped in with it right now, music theory. You know what I mean? It's just all ear raw, like you know what I mean? I know if it's on or off, like you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of people are like that though.
I'll just jump. Do you think that's important for producers to learn now? Do you think that like we need to have that theory part, or do you think that we can do fine with just like using our ear and figuring it out from there?
Yeah, I definitely think it's important to know, theory, like the basics at least, because it's a guide, right? It's obviously been working since before we were born. It's just if you listen to pop, it's the same thing over and over and over. It works, And there's certain things, obviously you can break and change certain things, but it's definitely good to know it. But I also noticed that there's people that are super musically inclined and they can't produce properly. Like, not to say they can't produce, but it's just like there's no breaking the rules because all they know is theory. It's like, well, you can't do that, but yeah, we can, and we just did it, and it happened. It's over. So just break the rules. Honestly, everything I'm doing is breaking rules. I'm doing things that don't make sense. Why am I putting a piano to guitar rig? Why? You know what I'm saying? Why am I bending a violin on Nexus and making it the bass? Like, I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's how you get music. That's how you push everything forward, the culture and everything sonically. I encourage it because if I didn't do that, I don't think I'd be where I am in my career today. I'm glad I got to experiment and those things stuck early versus try to like be so like, okay, let me like make something that sounds more in the like the now and then try to like switch it up. You know what I mean? I kind of have my own formula and sound, in its own way.
Dope, dope.
Yeah.
So, just in terms of like, I guess from what it was back then to now, like in terms of how you got your placements, versus how it is now for you, like, is there any difference? Like, how did you go about doing it? I guess just kind of like in a general sense of like, how are you able to accomplish those things?
Bro, honestly, I was in such a blessed and unique situation, but I also like, put myself in that like situation. Like, being in remix, I was blessed to like at the time 40 was actually the head person of that not the department, but that program in within remix. So he was the leader of the recording arts, right? So at the time when I'm rapping and whatever, he's recording me. It's nuts. Like, so I went from that process, seeing everything, like, and then he took off with Drake. Like, we used to always see Drake coming through the halls after or whatever. And it was just like, yo, this is nuts. We seen when Drake first got signed, all that stuff. You know what I mean? It was like, yo, this guy is doing it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just serious. Like, so like I'm humble, like I'm watching. I'm like, okay, if mans are this close, it's right here, it's happening. I just gotta keep doing what I'm doing. But those guys took off so fast. Wayne was like, like on fire, pinnacle of his career, and just like, can you imagine? Like what? So, but like 40 had to leave, and basically when he came back to the city or whatever and popped into the, he always kept his ear to what was going on in the program still. He knew that I was working. I was like studio manager of remix studios, all that stuff. I was just helping, like doing production class, whatever at the time. And then he came back. I think they were about to wrap up Take Care. And then that's like, yo, come with me. You're gonna start interning with me. So from that, that's when I was like, okay, this is getting serious, like, and then I just missed a record on Take Care too, like last minute. You know that record, Hate Sleeping Alone? I have a version of it, and it's like, it was so last minute because I think they were in a place where they didn't have as much say as they do now, obviously. They're like, yo, this is so crazy, he would have to rewrite this song. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, that. Can you imagine? Like, I was like, what? But I was humbled, and then I just kept going. I just used that as like, okay, I'm touching thing, I'm here, and then boom, I'm here now. You know what I mean? So definitely a good situation, just knowing 40,
Yeah. Well, so I guess I have a question. Just what would you say is your most favorite track that you were able to be a part of? What would you say is your favorite track to date?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I'm gonna say Furthest Thing, because that was my first placement ever, so it's always gonna, have that spot.
I love that song so much. Like, that's like my favorite song on the album for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, I'm glad to, be able to contribute to it and just deliver my part. And, it's just like, that's a great situation. And then Trophies is always gonna be there too, because that was a unique situation also. And for me, I always have to say Teenage Fever, though. That probably holds like, the most to me, you know what I mean? Because like, mind you, all those other things, like, it's like produced with I'm collabing with other people, and that was something, and that's great. It was amazing. A lot of people like love it still to this day. But like, that was like, Teenage Fever is my first one by myself, like produced like on a Drake record. Like, it was like something I had to get off my bucket list. I'm like, yo, and then boom, it just happened. And like, you see now in Deconstructed, like even Deconstructed, they had to like chop it a certain way just out of respect for certain things that we weren't putting out there. But that went through a process too, man. That went through a lot of versions, a lot of changes over time, sonically, different bounces. It's just crazy, right? So
I really don't think people see that side. They just see the record come out, right? So they don't see the back that you're like working on that Trophies record since 2012, right? So it's just like those little things that people don't really realize, right?
That one took years. Like, if I look at that session and the hours, it's probably like, I really did this, like, really. But it makes sense, and it worked out in the end. That's like, I'm at a place where I don't rush things. I never did. Like, take your time, perfect it. Like, a lot of people like, oh, this is what's in now. The distorted 808s, da 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 da. Okay. And then like, where is it now? It's like, are you gonna listen to that next year, even 6 months later? So I'm always trying to push somewhere like, yo, this is something like, and I always have those conversations, to be honest. My peers, they're like, yo, like, you did something. Even if I don't big myself up, they're like, yo, you have to give yourself credit. You did some crazy shit. Like, are you nuts? I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right, sure.
It's gonna live forever,
Yo, that's the greatest thing I could say is I'm doing what I love to do. A lot of people don't have that luxury. Like, some people are great at what certain things, but they don't actually get in that field. I actually love what I do. I get excited. Like, I'm like, yo, I could do what I want to do. Like, what are you talking about? No one can tell me like, nah, you can't do that. Or go clean up aisle 7. Like, no. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not doing that. You feel me? That's what it was real. Like,
Clipping that and just that I'm running with that. That was crazy, man. Like,
it's real, man. You know what I mean? But trust me, that's what it is.
no, it's dope. Another question here. Just what do you think about simplicity in beats, just in general,
Yo,
versus they're more complex?
listen to me right now. That is the most important thing I ever learned in this game. When I came, like, to be honest, I got signed because of my drums. Like 40, like I'm signed to 40, like low, like I don't put it out there, but I am signed to 40, right? And he always say, "Oh, your drums are crazy," and I'm just like, "Word?" Like, for me, I'm like, I don't have no crazy setup at the time. I literally no lie, I had a desktop. I think it's like an IBM or a Dell. It didn't have a side. I used to hop on the transit or in a cab or whatever, and just make it happen. Like that's what I had at the time. I was just trying to get to a place, and bro, it's like all that stuff is real, man. Like, I mean, that's all part of the journey. You know what I'm saying? Bro, like, it's nuts, man. I used to be on like the trans. Sometimes I see like school kids laughing at me. I'm like, you guys don't even know where I'm going. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like in my head, like, do you know what I'm on right now? Like, whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy, bro.
That's dope. I guess we can ask just a couple more questions here before we let you go. But
Yeah, we
I
have
guess
like
another.
15.
What's that?
I'm good. I think we have like 15 minutes or so.
Yeah. No, exactly. I guess another question is just like, I guess this is good for producers to kind of know, like, was there ever a mistake that you made that I guess you can kind of take back, that you were just like, oh, I should have done that in a studio, or I shouldn't have done that, like, when I met this person or whatever, just to kind of like, give people kind of like a good story, or just like a situation where that's happened to you and how you kind of.
Yeah, I feel like I should have just listened with certain records, like even Pound Cake. Like I have Pound Cake in my computer somewhere, and it's like they're like, "Yo, we want this style of drums," but like I was like, okay, I didn't hear that though. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a creative. That's not really like my work. And like I said, I was fresh in the game, so I didn't really know how the industry worked like that. So I was just like pumping out different like drums at the time, but it didn't make sense. When I listened to it later, I'm like, why didn't I just listen? Like, what the hell's wrong with me? Like, but you're just in a zone. You're like, you're you. I had to learn. That was my lesson. Now I know I'm not gonna do that now. It's like, you want this style, you're gonna do it. You know what I mean? Because I understand now. But definitely if I could go back, I'm like, I would have done that different for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm not really in settings like that where I'm in like big sessions and all that stuff. I'm still pretty homebody. Like I pop out to LA here and there, but even during these times when these were placed, I was still in Toronto, so I never really capitalized or I was moving around because like the business, you have to wait for certain things to click. And to be honest, I didn't have the bag like that yet. So I was putting away certain things in my life, so I was just like trying to walk straight, and I just had to be patient. And then my time came, it came, and I got to LA eventually. But all that stuff still helped me in the long run. It's still on your resume. It still gets you in those doors. So you know what I mean? It is what it is.
Yeah. No, definitely.
It's real,
And
man.
that I think that's the biggest thing for producers, is just trying to figure out how to either make that transition or just kind of figure a way to do it where they don't end up either, like, because we've like just in this past day from like the other speakers that we've had, just listening to some of the stories that they've told based off of like certain things that have happened that potentially ruined the situation for them. So it's just I think it's always good to just kind of give people that kind of insight. But yeah, no, that's definitely dope. Is there anyone that you're kind of looking forward to working with, or that you're currently working with, that you have some exciting stuff to come out with, or that's probably hush hush? You can't really say too much.
I can't say certain things obviously, but I'm actually developing an artist right now from Toronto. You're gonna see. It's gonna be good. I'm excited.
Okay, so you
A
can't
lot
say
of
the name,
people
eh?
from that camp over there paying attention. They're excited, and there's a lot of conversations privately. So yeah, we're working. The mixes, the master, making sure they're all right. Branding. You know how that goes. So like I said, we're not rushing anything, and like the pandemic obviously gave us some time to actually like make some better decisions when it comes to this music, right?
Yeah, I was gonna actually ask you, for you, like, what do you? So it sounds like you're very creative, but like
Mm-hmm.
about the business,
Yeah.
like, what were some things that you had to learn about the business to protect yourself as a producer? Because I think for us here at Beat Cave, like that's the number one thing people ask, or one of the top five for sure. People
Yeah.
are like, oh, they're either getting taken for a ride or this, that, the other thing, and what is fair and what's not fair. But like for you, how did you kind of navigate that side of the business?
I mean, like I said, let me put it like this. Coming in, being in a like coming under the wing of 40, right? Like it's a unique situation, right? Because you have a like I had a relationship prior to him, so I'm like I don't have to deal with a lot of the bullshit that a lot of people have to deal with, right? But you know, of course, when you start getting into the other worlds, like you start to see things, you're like, oh, okay, then it's like this is not about the music anymore. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like it's a lot, man. It's a lot. But you definitely have to like just be yourself and don't become greedy and don't do too much because it's a small community and trust me, everyone knows each other somehow or a phone call can be made and it's just you be wonder what's happening and it's quiet and it's like, you know?
You just gave two big gems. Like, don't be greedy and don't do too much. Like, those are,
So
Don't do
like,
too
write that
much.
down.
That's the thing.
Go, like,
don't
keep
do
that
it.
somewhere. Yeah.
Don't do it. Like, you know, just be a good person, man. Like everyone there's enough to go around and I think people forget that. They honestly do. Because people are chasing like, oh, they're watching this, and it's like, bro, just keep working. Like, just keep working. Like, do you think like there's bigger producers than me, of course, and there always will be. Like, it's just like just deliver, and you know what I mean. Like, just focus on yourself. Like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But those people never stop. They're gonna keep going too. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's real. It's
Facts.
really real, man.
Facts. Facts.
Word.
Well, that's dope. I think we had a question in here. Let me just
Mhm.
pull it up. What has changed in your production process between now and like I guess when you're making that track maybe, or just what has changed in your like production just in general, I guess, in the general sense of the term.
Definitely the simplicity, man. I think someone asked that earlier. Maybe I didn't answer it fully properly, but simplicity is very important because, like I said, the drum thing, like I came in doing all that stuff, and it's very wild. Like if you listen to my drums, like on each record I've touched, it's all different. You know what I mean? But like the drums are creating pockets and spaces that are like what they're spaced still, but it's just different. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like what I zeroed in on. You know?
Mm.
Like stuff like that. But sound selection, making it simple, make sure there's space, make sure there's the right chords, there's progressions, there's melodies, like, you know, just all the right things. But at the same time, making it different. I don't ever want to make something that has been done. I do not. I don't even want to make something that I did ever again. Ever. Like, I did it already. It happened. It was a moment. I'm done with it. You know what I'm saying? What's next? What can I try to craft up next? That's how my brain operates. Like I've been in
Facts.
session, no cap. Yo, I need what's that beat? Oh, yo, I need a Jumpman beat. So go to the producer that made Jumpman. That's how my brain operates. It's not like I don't feel like making a Jumpman. You can't tell me to just make it. It's not gonna be the same. I don't
Mhm.
bring that vibe. Like, you know what I'm saying? I can, but like that's not like, okay, I'm making Jumpman. I have to just, you know what I mean? That's just
Mhm.
how my brain is wired. It's like, okay. But I think that's also like the problem with the game right now. Everyone's so busy like copying stuff and not being unique. Like you could see it like Timbo right now. You could put on how much Timbo beats, Swiss beats, or you know, go down the list. Like from people from before our time. They had a sound and people went to them for that specific sound because they're bringing something. You know, it was Dr. Dre, Scott Storch, you could Pharrell, you know what I mean? The Neptunes, whatever, you can go back. They all had a sound. Now, someone could like how does this work? Like, A person could come out with a sound right now, goes number one. Everyone can go on YouTube. It's a tight beat, and then they're gonna go to whatever it is for the cheaper thing too. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, it's true.
It's
Not enough
oversaturated.
originality for sure.
It's oversaturated, but it is what it is. You just gotta keep pushing.
Yeah, 100%. Sweet. Okay, so we'll get into the last question, and then we'll wrap it up. So Lou and I had a question just regarding, like, I guess for your first placement, just in general, how would you say to, like, an artist should approach it, like in terms of, like, should they be asking for advance plus royalties, no advance, or like what would you suggest, or what have you done, kind of?
Get yourself a good lawyer, man. Like, listen, be the creative. Get yourself a good team that is solid and knows the game and you trust, and leave that to them. Don't get caught. Like, obviously be, knowledgeable and have the education of, like, the business, obviously, but it's always changing too. Like, you know what I mean? But, like, what I'm just saying, I think the creative, just make your team handle that stuff, If they're with you and for you, they should know what's up and know how to go about and what's fair and what's not. You know what I mean? That's my honest opinion. Because anytime I get into that, pardon?
No, I was just gonna say, so find a lawyer or get in the mix with someone who kind of knows the business side, because it sounds like you had that from pretty young in your career, right? So that kind of helped, like, protect you in that way.
Like I said, I had the privilege of having 40, right? So I was shielded from a lot of bullshit. You know what I mean? But here's a fun fact. I just got management recently. Like, what are we in 2020? Like, let's say 2019, I think. I never had a manager my whole career at all. So I just got one because it's just too much. I can't deal with this business stuff and creative. It's very overwhelming, and it actually takes away from the creativity when you start thinking about numbers and this argument, this, like, I don't want to deal with it anymore. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. It's crazy,
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And it's just like, yeah, you definitely want to deal with the creative side of things, and for producers coming up, it's like, you have to spend that money on getting that side of things dealt with, right? Because you don't want to just kind of leave it up to chance for the most part, right? But it's a dope way to kind of finish off everything and just get everyone in that mindset. But bro, appreciate you, man, so much for being able to, like, take the time and kind of, like, get these guys to see your creative process and just, like, things that you've been through in your career, to kind of give them some motivation and just, like, some skill sets to take away and that they're able to utilize for themselves. But appreciate it, man.
No, for sure, man. Thanks for having me. I mean, if anyone has any other questions, I'm always responding. I have emails, I have DMs, all that. When I get time, I do respond. I'm not on it every day, but I do all that stuff all the time. You know what I mean? I have no issues with that. But yeah, I just encourage all you guys to experiment and study the music from going back. You'll be surprised how much music is still, like, being created right now from old records, low key. You know what I mean? So just understand and see where music is at, and just, like, continue to push it sonically, and know the business, at least the basics. Just read. It gets crafty out here.
Yeah. Google shit.
Yo.
It gets crafty out here. I'm gonna take that one. The music, they get real crafty out here.
Yeah, I want to show you. You guys should get this right here. It's a book. I don't know if they have a newer one, but they definitely have this book.
I got you.
Donald, all that stuff. So
dope.
You should definitely read into that. My lawyer recommended it to me, so I bought it. And it's definitely interesting, and like I said, it's always changing, right? So they can't pull out.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know, like, when that was created and how much it's changed since it's come out, or if they, like, create copies all the time, right? Because as you said, it is changing constantly. So.
All the time. Deals are always changing. I don't even know where that is. 2015, I think. So I don't know if there's a new one. But this is the most recent one I had. I gotta look into that, though.
Dope, man. Again, appreciate you, fam.
Nah, love, man. Appreciate you guys. And like I said, man, I'm here. More
Awesome,
on the
man.
way.
Thank you, man.
Thank
We're
you.
excited for it.
All right, man. You guys stay safe too.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, man. Thank you.
Okay, everyone
Thank
else,
you.
we're heading to the final talk with Rants for the evening. So for everyone rocking with us, we're gonna see you guys there at 7:15 to close off the day. How's everyone feeling?
Good.
Yeah,
Really crazy. This is crazy shit, bro. Damn. This is inspiring as hell, man. I want to make music even more. It's really exciting. It's really just
I'm glad you've been enjoying it, man. All the way in Algeria.
All right, guys.
man.
Yeah, let's take a little break and we'll get back at this. Yeah, it's a full day.
All right, guys.
Let's go.
See you in a bit.
Take care.